Okay, so welcome. Here we are. Okay, so welcome to Infant Massage USA's May I Teaching Consent from day one with me, Suzanne Reese. Okay, so we're talking about consent, but I want to break it down first. So let's define it. What is consent? Okay, so consent, according to dictionary.com, says it's to permit, to approve, or to agree. So in our world, it's he consented to the massage, she asked his permission, and he consented. Okay. As a noun, it's permission, approval, or agreement. And the baby gave his consent to his mother when she asked, "May I massage you?" Ashley, can you see this? Okay, good. All right, just making sure. So it can be used as an intransitive verb or as a noun. Now, the etymology of it, I love because it comes from the Latin consentire, con meaning together, and sent, which is feel, to feel together. And there you go. Reminds me of my big fat Greek wedding father. Do you remember, like, everything has a Greek origin?
Yes.
And there you go. All right. So I like acronyms and they work for me. And I always say to the people who take my training, if they work for you too, then you're welcome to use mine. Okay. And so I like kind of breaking things down into easy to remember things. And here it's infant massage teaches consent by through clear, active, and required and empathetic exchanges. Okay, so care, right? Now, to care means to protect something, to safekeep something, right? So when parents and babies are in this exchange, they're seeing, they're hearing, and they're feeling one another. There's an active form of consent that's evident via the verbal and nonverbal cues. Okay, so we're looking at the baby's physiology, we're looking at the body language, and we're also listening to what they're saying. We're feeling what they're saying. It's required, consent is required because this is not a treatment, right? It's not like, oh, I don't know, like going for a teeth cleaning. I guess, well, you give consent for that too, but still, you've made an appointment and there you are in the chair, right? But it's not something that has to be done. It's not something that is required. It's something that is mutual. So with that, it's empathetic, it's sensitive, it's feeling, it's where we come to hold space for one another and be able to read each other sensitively in this space. Now, novel, I had to go with the sound, so I'm focusing on the end and knowing. Novel means something new. Now, when we guide families through our approach, we are presenting something new for a lot of people. A lot of families are not presented with this idea of, let's ask the baby for permission. Let's see what he thinks. Let's see what she feels about this. So it's informed and unconditional. And in that knowing, there must be an ongoing, continuously checking in with one another. Okay. So the parent, even though everything seems to be okay, it's the parent and primary caregiver's job to keep looking at the baby and keep watching for the cues that say yes or say no. It's voluntary, so willing participation is very important. It's enriching, so it's improving the relationship, the exchange, and it's loving. It's tender and it's affectionate. Okay, so it's based in care and novel exchanges. Okay, so I lead my families through class, and class is another acronym. When I came up with this, oh gosh, more than 20 years ago, I was trying to just give myself sort of a pattern to follow and a pattern for families to follow, to remember. Now, the ask is the Infant Massage USA, International Association of Infant Massage concept, right? We ask permission. May I massage you? But I took the whole thing, the whole approach, and I created an acronym. And the acronym is contact, look, ask, swish, and show. And when I thought about, well, what does class mean? Class to me means it's like, you know when to arrive, you know when to speak, you know when to pause and listen, and you know when to leave a party. Okay. And in this case, the party is the parent and the baby's exchange and this sacred time that they're spending together. So contact is make contact with the part of the body that you want to massage. Look to the baby and keep looking for cues, noticing their verbal and nonverbal cues. Ask and actually ask, may I massage you? Is this a good time for your massage? May I massage this particular leg and foot, right? So we're trying to get permission for this one part of the body. And this is really key. We can't start with a leg and foot and then without any consent from the baby, just like move to the chest. It all has to be baby led and baby centered. And then we swoosh our hands, warming the hands, warming the oil, providing an audio cue to the swishing, a visual cue. And when the baby starts to hear this and the baby starts to see this, the baby knows like, okay, I think I know what's coming. And then we show our hands, and we show our hands just like this with this sort of window, right? Because the baby can, young babies can only see about 6 to 12 inches from their face where the view is clear and they can really see what's going on and focus and hone in on what's going on. So we want to offer a show of hands, show the baby the tools that we're using, and get in nice and close, okay? So this is what this looks like. Yes, you may. I like this. The baby's engaged. The parent looks like playing peekaboo. And I call this when we go in and we come out and we go in and we come out, because like when we're doing, let's say, hug and glide, right? We're working our hands around the leg. And every time our elbows come out and our hands come in, that opens up our gate and we can get in nice and close. We come out, we rock back, in and out, together and away. That is the world's most sophisticated baby brain game, and it's peekaboo. So for a young baby, that is peekaboo, because we come into view and out of view, and in clear vision and out of clear vision, okay? So here the baby is excited, is engaged, is anticipating the mother re-emerging from behind her hands, and that's beautiful. Now, on the right-hand side, the baby's saying, no, I need something different here. This is not what I'm ready for. And this baby is letting the parent know. We've got a really strong, stressful grimace on their face. Mouth is wide open in a cry. The hands are up and getting tense. There's nothing relaxed about this baby. Okay. So those of us who've been around babies, we can actually probably hear what's going on in both of these images. Okay. We have happy and content, and we have, oh my gosh, no, I'm in a little mini crisis right here, and please help me figure this out and change the situation. Get a little something to drink. Okay. So next, let's see, there we go. Whoops, did I do that? Yeah, okay. So these are actually slides from my training slideshow that I'm sharing with you. I have some pictures that are mine and some pictures that were generously shared with me many, many years ago by a fellow trainer, Olga Morris. So this is one of Olga's pictures. And this is the picture I use for contact, because here the mother has made her initial contact. She's got her hands on her baby's shoulders. I love it that she has both hands on her baby's shoulders or on her baby's bodies, because now they have actually now completed this, what I call this circuit of energy. Okay. And they're locked in to one another. They're looking at each other. All right. There's a mutual gaze going on here. And the baby is in anticipation, like looking at the mother, like, okay, what's next? What's going on? Okay. So that's contact. This is look. It's hard to see, but you can actually see the father's eyelashes, like, between his face and the lens of his glasses. Okay. He's looking at his baby and his baby is looking at him. They're looking at one another. They are locked in and they are communicating. It may be even silent. I don't know. I wasn't there. This is Olga's picture, but they're looking at each other and they're waiting to see what's going to happen next. Let's see. There we go. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Ask. I love this picture because look at the baby's mouth. Babies do this thanks to mirror neurons. Okay. They are very sophisticated neurons in our brains that help us learn how to be in our environment. Okay. Because babies are constantly checking, like, what's okay, what works, what's not okay, what's not working. And when parents speak, babies will, even though they can't say the words necessarily, they're going to start trying to shape their mouth and start making at least the mouth shapes, the facial grimaces, and eventually, of course, the sounds. And in this case, it's, may I massage you? Okay. So the baby's mouth is actually mirroring the mother speaking to him. And here too, she's got both hands on her baby. Swish. So the parent has the hands right over the baby. The baby can see. Okay. And the baby's looking at the parent. And then here's show. Now, this is my photo. It's from one of my trainings many, many years ago. And this mother eventually did lean into her baby. So I like to point that out, that like in a perfect world, in a vacuum, right now she's too far away. Okay. But she just did her swish. Now she's doing her show. And it's important to get close to the baby, but look at how far apart her hands are. Okay. So that's important that she's able to move in between the space of her hands. Her baby's very young and her baby can see her. This baby now is old enough to, sit down at a bar and have a glass of wine, which kind of blows my mind. All right. Okay. So now we have, thanks to this concept that I learned from Dr. Bruce Perry a long time ago, it's something I call the trifecta of trust. I love listening to Dr. Bruce Perry speak. And many years ago, he talked about the foundation of a healthy attachment must contain these three things. It also happens to be my initials. So the acronym thing works again. All right. So the child must feel safe. Now, in our world of infant massage, the baby's learning that there's safety in the primary caregiver, in this exchange, and in the environment. There's a building of trust. The baby knows I'm not going to fall off of something. If I feel cold, I'm going to have a blanket put around me. Maybe the dog or the cat is going to be kept at bay and nothing comes right into my face. Just knowing that in the presence of this primary caregiver as a baby, I feel safe. Okay. Now, there's predictability because our program teaches this approach that is, and again, this is a Bruce Perry thing, that really satisfies the rhythm-bound communication that babies and parents share, and babies really rely on. So there's a rhythm of our approach, and there's a pattern to the massage strokes, right? We always start with legs and feet because they're furthest from the face and the chest, and these are areas that the baby tends to protect, okay? Legs and feet are handled a lot. The baby uses their legs and feet to explore their world a lot. So there's predictability, and when the parent arrives at the baby's legs and feet and holds on to them and looks at them with that smile, that sense of anticipation, and it starts to ask, may I massage you? Is this a good time for your massage, right? The baby knows, like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember this. Oh, I get this. Oh, this feeling, this look, this sound, right? Accessing all those learning channels. So now I need to start responding. Now, it's reliable also because the baby knows that whatever they attempt to communicate, the parent's going to seek to understand it and appropriately respond. So we have safety, we have predictability, and we have reliability in this dyadic dance of attunement. And that's courtesy Dr. Ed Tronick. I want to just give credit where there is credit due. Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. I just want to make sure I didn't miss a slide. There we go. Okay, and so here we go. Now we have this baby who is being raised in an environment where they matter, right? Baby's learning, I'm important. And I know I'm important because when I speak, right? Verbal, nonverbal, whatever you want to say. When I speak, I get attended to. Someone is paying attention. Someone's looking at me. Someone is wanting to speak with me too. And we're getting this back and forth, okay? And this baby who says, no, not right now, and maybe, sometimes has to be a little stronger with the no, not right now, but learns that when they say no, not right now, that's seen, that's heard, that's felt, that's understood. It's met with compassion, empathy, and understanding. And the parent might say, oh, not right now, sweetie. Okay, that's all right. We're not always in the mood, are we? And instead they get picked up and they get carried and they get comforted, okay? So this is a child who's treated with respect, admiration for who they are, and the communication that they're offering. And through the years, this continues. And as they grow up, let's say now they're in school, and then maybe, later, then they're early adolescence, where a lot of social pressures start, then full-on adolescence, where now we're in this kind of paradox in brain development of needing that safe space of family and home, and still wanting to go out and explore the world, and I don't need you to tell me what to do, and I know everything, right? But then as soon as things start getting uncomfortable, right, or feeling unsafe, they want to come home. Okay, so they still need home. And then of course after that, then they're what society would deem them as full-fledged adults. Okay, but in this process, they are becoming, and they eventually become, people who know what the boundaries are, what safe and healthy and nurturing touch is, and what not safe and not healthy and not nurturing touch is. And this raises the bar on relationship criteria. And these are children who become, these are babies who become children, who become young adults, who become adults, who have a better map in their mind and even in their senses, both energetic and physical senses, on what works for them, what is appropriate for them, and what takes them back to that safe, predictable, reliable foundation that they've come to count on. So I'm going to ask everyone for a moment, just take a moment and write in the chat, what are the signs for you that would be a red flag in relationship criteria that would say to you like, I don't know, I think I should, pause right here and really examine this. What are some of the things that alarm you when you're exchanging with anyone? And when I say relationship criteria, it doesn't have to be a significant other. It could be a friend. It could be anyone. It could be a coworker. And is this a person, or are these people that I really want to invest myself in? So what are some of the things that might be a red flag for you to put the stop on investing too much, sharing too much? Okay, so Anna Marie says lack of eye contact, lack of open communication, not listening to my point of view. Erica says getting too close too quickly. Yep. Body language. Okay, what kind of body language? Let's define that. What is that body language? Because that's a great one. I love that. But what is it about the body language? Someone says lack of responsiveness. Yep. Touching me without permission, say like on the arm. Okay. Violates a boundary. Arms folded. Yep. Okay. Great. How about, let's look at their tone. What about their tone when they speak? Let's see. Someone says in the neurodiverse communities, many of these are part of their community's needs, ways of communicating. It's interesting that you say that, because I really notice when I've met somebody new, it really stands out to me if they touch my shoulder or touch my arm. And I actually see it as a sign of intimacy. Like, I'm comfortable with you. I feel safe with you. So it's interesting how some of these things can be communicated differently. But each person is going to set their barometer for what's okay and what's safe. And that's fine. Oh, a cold tone. Yep. Yeah, some people don't have warmth in their interactions or in their voice. Some people might sound aggressive, right? And what's interesting about that is I'm Armenian Argentine, okay? I sound aggressive to some people. That's my big fat Greek wedding thing. I can so relate to it. And I remember one of the first times my husband came to my parents' house, and it was like a family gathering. We had a couple cousins that we don't get to see very often. And he got up and we kind of met in the kitchen in the other room, and he goes, why does it sound like everyone's yelling at each other? I'm like, no one's yelling. Who's yelling? So again, right? It's your filter. It's what you're used to, right? Okay. Intonation of voice, high versus low. The asking is everything, and there are many ways of touching. Yeah, these are great. Okay, awesome. Well, let's go to the other side of the spectrum now, and let's examine what are the things that you look for that do feel safe, do sound safe, do look safe. I know for me, it's smiles, like genuine, like crow feet smiles. People who, a gleam in the eye. Yep. That's nice. Gentle eyes, takes time to understand. Yes. That listener, like someone who's not, talking over you. Yep. Relaxed body posture. I love it. Yeah. Maybe like just a softness in their physical presentation too. They look relaxed, self-regulated in their body. Those are good too. Mirroring actions. Yes. Yeah. Like nodding or making listening noises, letting you know that they're hearing you. Those are great. Yeah, exactly. And these are the kinds of things that parents and babies are sharing. Okay. When we're in that, as as a parent, when parents are in that exchange with their infant and they're really letting the infant lead, and they're really letting the infant dictate where this is going to go, then these are the signals and these are the cues that say this relationship can be trusted, this relationship can be safe. I've taken a lot of courses and watched a lot of films on like communication and relationship, and it's fascinating how culture and experience and family dynamics can play a role. So it's important that we keep that awareness, right? That we're open to others' possibilities and the differences in what's acceptable here may not be acceptable from another culture, okay? But in general, we're looking at very obvious red flags and very obvious green lights, okay, that say, wait, I don't know about this, or yeah, this is really great. I feel comfortable and safe here. Okay. All right. So when one of the things that I express to the people who take my training is I'm so excited for you, because we're not just teaching strokes. We are actually helping families change something in the quality of the relationship. And it's actually creating new connections in the brain of the baby and new connections in the brain of the parent. And this is really key in continuing the relationship that's going to be positive, and it's going to be safe, and it's going to be nurturing and connecting, and or not, right? And this is going to segue into some of the next things that I'm going to be talking about here. So we have children who are raised with respect and acknowledgement and validation, and they are going to grow up into people who expect respect and acknowledgement and validation and compassion and empathy in their future relationships. And that's really important. We always say, like, we can't expect something from someone that they don't have because it was never modeled for them or it wasn't given to them, right? And these are the people who really have to work to leap over these hurdles to get what they want out of a relationship, because first they've got to work on it in their own self, right? So let's help these families discover this early so that so many hurdles don't have to be had later. All right. Okay. So I don't know why I press my advanced arrow and then nothing happens. And then I press it again. No, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. That's weird. Because sometimes it skips I don't know what's going on. I'm screen sharing. Okay, there. All right. Now, I don't know what I did. Okay, good. All right.
If not, I have the backup slides if you need them.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that I'm not like skipping a slide. Okay. So now we're talking about leaving an epigenetic legacy. All right. So I've got this little baby who's like, what? Infant massage can influence the epigenome? Whoa. All right. And then I've got this other baby that's going, wait a minute, what is the epigenome? So, all right. So I'm going to share a video with you. So I'm going to stop sharing this one, and we're going to learn a little bit about what the epigenome is. Okay. I have to now find that. Well, now it's taking me back to the slide. And now I can't see anybody. Let's see, I'm going to escape. Okay. There we go. Okay, I can still see people. Let's see, share screen, desktop, share, and I'm going to expand this. Okay.
Just make sure that you share your sound as well on that toolbar. It'll say share sound, otherwise we won't be able to hear it. I learned this the hard way multiple times.
Oh, really? Okay. So the toolbar, where is the toolbar?
It should pop up. Like you just kind of scroll. It'll pop up at the top
Says you,
Um,
oh, I see. Okay, so there's, let's see, mute, because usually I have to mute myself so that it doesn't like come through the computer and through my mic. Share, you were screen sharing, let's see more. What am I looking for? Oh, share computer sound, is that it,
Yes,
Ashley?
yes,
Okay,
that's what I
but-
do.
but do I have to mute myself?
No, I've never done it that way.
Okay, all right, so it's a minute and a half, all right?
Okay.
And here we go. Oh, it's asking for a password when I share my computer sound.
I don't know.
Yeah, it says to share your audio, your computer audio, please install the Zoom audio device.
Okay, we'll cancel. We'll just try it the way that you normally do it.
Okay, well, I normally do it on Google Meet.
Okay.
So I'm gonna mute myself and I'm gonna play it and you give me a thumbs up if you can hear it, okay? And if not, maybe you can do it.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what I was just about to do.
all right, okay.
I'm not hearing it. Me,
Okay, why don't you do it, Ashley?
Yeah. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Share. Okay. 1 more second. Okay, this is a quick ad.
3 is your last chance to go solar for $0 out of pocket with a huge credit of up to $10,000. So in December of 2020,
So
Congress
you can,
passed
yeah, okay.
Like, let's get that.
DNA contains the instructions for building all the parts of the body. But DNA is only half the story. The DNA in our bodies is wrapped around proteins called histones. Both the DNA and histones are covered with chemical tags. This second layer of structure is called the epigenome. The epigenome shapes the physical structure of the genome. It tightly wraps inactive genes, making them unreadable. It relaxes active genes, making them easily accessible. Different sets of genes are active in different cell types. The DNA code remains fixed for life, but the epigenome is flexible. Epigenetic tags react to signals from the outside world, such as diet and stress. The epigenome adjusts specific genes in our genomic landscape in response to our rapidly changing environment.
Okay, thank you for doing that, Ashley. And Cara Smith asked, do we have links to research articles? Yes, that's coming. Okay. So let's go back to the screen share. Boom. Whoops. Wait a minute. Oh, shoot. Now I can see my whole desktop, but no, that's not what I want. Okay, let's try this again.
I thought that clip was really fascinating. It really explained it really well. So thank you
I'm a-
for sharing
Oh,
that.
sure. I'm a visual learner.
Me too.
I have to see, and even when I'm talking, it's kind of strange. I always say to someone when we have this conversation, I'm like, everything that we're saying, I see it in my head. So I'm a very visual learner. Okay, so I'm trying to screen share, and it says one participant can share at a time. So I think you have to, if
to
you're still sharing, or maybe kind of reset something because it's not letting me at this point. Okay, it says you are the host now. Okay, so I should be able to do that now. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. Just want to make sure. There we go. Oh wait, that's the video. I want to get out of that. Let's go back to, okay, there we go. Share. Okay, and back to the slideshow. Okay, so I get excited because this is so much more than a series of strokes. I remember when I had the privilege of introducing Kirsten Uvnes Moberg, who wrote The Oxytocin Factor, when we had our international education conference in Barcelona in I think it was 2005. And I had to practice how to say her name, but I did it. And now I say it correctly all the time. Kirsten Uvnes Moberg. But she wrote The Oxytocin Factor. And when I was getting ready to introduce her, I, talked about the impact of our work. And I described it as like a diamond. Because what is a diamond? A diamond is just carbon that's undergone a lot of pressure, right? It's a very simple element. But in the simplicity, what? Are you trying to get my attention?
Nope, if everyone could mute. Thank you.
Okay. In the simplicity of this element, this carbon that's now a diamond, we have all these facets, right? And each facet is this kaleidoscope of color and clarity and brightness. And this is how I describe the benefits of infant massage. So yes, it's simple, but in this simplicity is this complexity of benefits. And here we think as infant massage educators, like, oh, I'm going to hold these classes and I'm going to teach parents and babies these strokes, and it's just going to be this wonderful beginning to life for them in their relationship. And little do we know, and we're not going to be around to see it, is that it can very well have this very long-term trajectory that changes not just the relationship between the parent and the baby, but the relationship that child has with himself, that parent has with themselves, that parent has with their significant other, with other members of the family, with their community. So it's really impactful, and we're going to continue talking about this. So here we go. So let's discuss epigenetics, epigenetic modulation, love and nurturing, and what the science says. So what is epigenetics? So epigenetics and how it relates to child development, because that's why we're here, right? Okay. So it's an area of scientific research that focuses on the experience that children have and how these experiences actually influence the expressions of their genes. Now, these are those chemical markers that the lady on the video was talking about, okay? She's talking about these markers. That's on the epigenome. Epi means over, on top of, okay? So on top of the genome, you have these markers. And these markers come from different things in our environment. And just because we have this set of genes, these genes are not set in stone. It's not a tablet that's found at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. Okay. It's something that evolves and changes over time. It's like how our brain prunes and grows and prunes and grows through life based on our experiences. So during development, we have all these experiences, all these things that we are exposed to that switch on an expression, right? Wake up, unravel this part of the genome, or tightly wind it and switch it off, right? It's almost like lifting the blinds or closing the blinds, right? Let the light in or keep the light out. So we have diet, we have seasonal correlations, we have disease exposure, drug exposure, exposure to chemicals and toxins. It even says financial status, because where you land on the spectrum of the socioeconomic plane can influence your exposure to things, and statistically, like what you're expected to experience. Okay, how much exercise you get, the health of your microbiome, is it diverse or is it not, and even how one is birthed can and the initial exposures they get after birth can very much influence the seeding of the microbiome. The use of therapeutic or alternative medicines, the relationships and social interactions, and the basic psychological state, not just of the infant, but of their caregivers and their families. So we have this plethora of things coming at the baby, around the baby, in the baby, that are switching genes on and off. Okay, so here we have children who were raised in this environment that we like to see, right? This nurturing and compassionate environment filled with acknowledgement and validation, and not. Okay, and I refer to this a lot in my trainings, the Romanian orphanage syndrome. Okay, it was something that was referenced a lot when I was in school, because there were a bunch of Romanian orphans that had been released to families who had adopted them, and it became evident that the attachment relationships were really strange and very difficult and challenging. So they started doing brain scans. And Dr. Alan Shore talks about this in many of his presentations, where when you have a typically developing child in a healthy environment, you have really nice full gray matter, and that's the brain on the left. Okay, in both images, that's the brain on the left. And oh wait, I'm sorry, no, that's the brain on the left. Yes, sorry. And then you have a child who experiences neglect. Now, neglect is actually worse than abuse. Okay, neglect is like you're invisible. I don't see your needs. I don't hear your needs. I don't feel your needs. Emotional needs as a human. Okay, and when that happens, the brain matter actually begins to dissolve. And Dr. Alan Shore talks about it as black holes in the frontal lobes of the brain. And these areas of the brain are the areas that are not just executive function, but they drive like how we connect with other people, how we make decisions, how we're able to sort of be our own internal barometer for our environment and really understand whether something is safe or not. And it affects the amygdala, and the amygdala is what drives a lot of that in our brain. Are we safe? Can we feel secure? Can I relax? Okay, so these are children who could never relax, essentially. So we're talking about actually changing architecture of the brain. And let's see, here we go. There we go. Okay, so someone asked about the science. So this is it. So the science suggests that early life experiences impact this epigenetic programming and the development of the amygdala, leading to lasting differences in social, emotional, or physiological processes. These hugs and lullabies and smiles could quite literally inoculate babies against future stresses and how they deal with those stresses, even how they perform in exams later, because exams are stressful, right? Okay, so this is a new branch of science that's really coming out, and it is newer. It's really only about 10 years old. examining genes and the switching on and off of the genes because of the markers coming in from the environment. And we are in a position to influence this by just teaching baby massage. The science further suggests that providing mothers and or their infants with this supportive psychosocial environment can help create this protection against adverse events, even adverse parenting, and counter the transmission of negative behavior to the next generations. And this is going to rat studies where rat pups who were licked and cared for by their mother became rat pups who were healthier and didn't develop as much disease. Or, I mean, of course, each study is different. I'm sort of generalizing 5 or 6 different studies that I've read on where they expose them to different epigenetic triggers, right? And the more cared for and loved and needs were met as pups, the better they were able to handle the adverse triggers that came at them later on in life. And what's interesting too is that a lot of the experiences that these rats and their pups were exposed to early in life, even without the experience being repeated in future generations, those future generations learned epigenetically what is safe and what is not safe. So an example would be like, let's say, every time they went down a particular, let's say, tunnel to go get some food, they were shocked. Okay. And I know a lot of us don't like to hear about animal studies. Trust me, I don't like it. But it's what I've got. Okay. So they went down a particular tunnel and they were shocked. And they had all these other, tunnels to choose from. And they learned like, okay, this one's safe, this one's safe, this one's safe. Now, in later generations, and these generations come quickly because rats procreate so quickly, the researchers didn't even have to create the shock tunnel. They just provided avenues for food, and the one that was in the same direction and looked the same as the one that provided shock for grandma and grandpa, they didn't go down because epigenetically a marker had been set for that. That's crazy, amazing, crazy. Okay, so to think that what we're doing is so impactful in changing the course of not just the life of this parent-child relationship, but for that child and what they might be passing on to the next generations is really mind-blowing. Okay, so we're showing that it's not just it's that this behavior counts now, and that we don't have to carry on the baggage, right, that we were sort of born with or we were exposed to. And it's definitely affecting the chemistry of the DNA. And so my final thoughts are, I have one last slide. Why isn't it? Hold on, let's see. Aha, there it goes. Okay. So before we get to some Q&A, my final thoughts are something I share in every training. When I was in junior college, I took a women's studies course, and I had to study a lot of different writings from women of the suffragist movement. And this particular piece from this particular piece of work really stood out. And at the time, I didn't know why. And I held on to it. I made copies of it. And there was something about it that sat so significantly with me. And when I discovered baby massage, I then knew why. So it goes like this. What we see immediately around us, what we are born into and grow up with, be it the mental furniture or physical, we assume to be the order of nature. If a given idea has been held in the human mind for many generations, as almost all our ideas have, it takes sincere and continued effort to remove it. And if it is one of the ideas, sorry, I can't see the whole screen. If it's one of the in, I can't, there's a strip here and I can't see or maybe Ashley, can you read it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah, it's hopping on. What we see immediately around us, what we're born into and grow up with, be it mental furniture or physical, we assume to be the order of nature. If a given idea has been held in a human mind for many generations, almost all of our common ideas have, it takes sincere and continued effort to remove it. And if it is one of the oldest we have in stock, one of big, common, unquestioned world ideas, vast is the labor of those who seek to change it. Nevertheless, if the matter is one of importance, if the previous idea was palatable or error, or large and evil effect, and if the new one is true and widely important, the effort is worth making. And I'll repeat that last part. The effort is worth making.
So she was talking about women's right to vote. Okay. But this applies to every family and every baby. I had the opportunity to attend a full day presentation by Dr. Niles Bergman. He's the kind of the father of kangaroo care. And he's working really hard to secure the golden hour after birth for the mother and the baby. And I happened to choose his table. I didn't even know when I sat down. It was at break time. He sat down and I thought, why is he sitting here? And then the food was served and I thought, oh, I'm at his table. So I took it as an opportunity to speak with him. And he was talking about the struggle that he has in changing hospital protocols and how mother and baby are treated in that first hour after birth and whether or not they're really allowed to be together uninterrupted. And I mean, this is a guy who's got funding by the WHO and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I mean, there's backing on what he's doing. And yet, even with all of that, right, he's still up against protocols, hospital protocols, right? And that is the mental furniture of the system, okay? And so I didn't have my slideshow. I don't even think I had a slideshow then because this was pre-COVID. I didn't develop it until we really developed it until we went virtual. And I didn't have my papers with me, so I had to pull it up on my phone. And I pulled it up on my phone and I said, Dr. Bergman, may I share something with you? And I read it to him. And I said, when I read this, to me, it speaks so much of your struggle and that shifting a paradigm. And he looked at me and he said, oh, it does. I love this. Will you read it to my audience? So I got to present at Dr. Niles Bergman's presentation. And I read it to his audience. And luckily, I've been able to keep in touch with him since. And he said that he shares it in his presentation since, because it so speaks to this issue of there being this idea of how things should be because they've always been, right? So this concept of asking permission is challenging the, children are seen but not heard. And even if we're taught that doesn't need to be, it takes sincere and continued effort to change this approach to children and see them as real human beings. Magda Gerber is another person you may want to look up, and just look up quotes by Magda Gerber and listen, or she's passed on. So read what she has to say about how we view children. And Peggy O'Mara, who founded Mothering Magazine, she one of her famous quotes is, what we say to our children becomes their inner voice. So when we ask, may I massage you? Would you like your massage today? May I massage this arm, this hand? We're considering that child has an opinion and that they matter, and they learn it and they feel it, and it becomes a part of their cellular structure that they pass on. So if you're out there working with families, I'm going to congratulate the heck out of you, because this is amazing and you really are making a difference. thank you so much for listening to me. I'd love to know if you have any thoughts, comments, questions.
Thank you, Suzanne. This was amazing. So much. I can't believe you fit so much into the hour. Like,
Thanks.
you did wonderful.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
Suzanne, I just want to say I am just overwhelmed by what you presented today. You know, this is the kind of thing I've wanted to see people take a look at and understand for so long as to why infant massage is so important.
Thank you.
You know, that both that biological response, but also the actions that we're taking, because, you know, we really, as a nation, do not respect children in this culture.
We don't.
And the only
No.
way to change that is by going forward. You know, we can't change what other people are doing, but we can certainly change things going forward. So I'm thrilled. Thank you so
Oh,
much for your
Thank
time.
you, and
today.
you're welcome.